Ithaca was formed basically for European Americans after the Revolutionary War, because all the veterans were allotted land because the colonies that won the war didn't have the money to pay them. So instead they were given land that were called the military lots. And some of the military came up here to settle. Most of them sold their property and did not come here. But the first few that came here found that there were many streams running down into Ithaca, which was the form of power in those days. Water power was how you made machines work. People, when they come to a strange place, if it looks like home, it feels right. Around here, sort of low hills and valleys, very much like Finland, and there were lakes, the same as Finland. So a lot of Finnish people came here, I think mostly in the 20th century. And once there were some here, it attracted more. People would say, there's a good farm here.
My grandfather, on my father's side, my father's father, John Koski, came here from Ilmajoki, Finland, in the 1890s. And he went to Upper Michigan, as a lot of those Finns did, and he worked as an iron miner there. And then he married my grandmother, Hilma Koski. Well, she was a Kannus originally. See, her parents came from Finland too. So they got married, and then my father was born in Upper Michigan, and he had a younger brother, Tauno Koski. And then they moved to Spencer here and had a chicken farm in Spencer. That was in 1930 that they moved here. Hey! That's my father's side of the family. Then my mother's side, my mother's father was Esa Saikonen, and he came from Mikkeli, Finland. And he came in the 1890s too. And he also went to the Upper Michigan and worked as an iron miner in Negaunee, Michigan, same as my other grandfather. So they knew each other up there. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, was born up there because her parents had come from Finland earlier. So all my grandparents and great-grandparents were living in Upper Michigan. And then my mother's family came here in 1919 to Vincennes, New York, and they bought an old farm up in Vincennes, and they had 9 kids. When the Finns bought the farms up here, there were a lot of abandoned farms because farming was so poor then that a lot of the Yankee farmers left the farms, so there were abandoned farms all over, especially in the hills here. So the Finns started coming here and buying these farms, very cheap farms. A lot of them were just abandoned. So they moved in there, and the fields were grown up in brush, so they cleared the fields and fixed up the houses and fixed up the barns. Of course, the first thing they built was a sauna. And they made productive farms out of them. And you know, one family came here and they said they liked it here and there was farmland here. So they wrote back to Upper Michigan or other parts of the country and said there's land and farms here. So others came, and then more came and more came, and that's what led to the Finnish community here.
So I asked him if he could put shelves in it so I could put some of my books in it. So he said it would be easy. So that's how we sort of got acquainted, really. That was the first thing. Then I invited him to lunch. Then we talked a lot, and we found that we agreed on most everything because we had been brought up in the same way by the same kind of parents. Actually, when I met his parents later, I thought they were my parents because the mother acted like my mother and the father acted like my father. So I thought, wow, isn't this great? My parents are alive again. They had passed away, my father in the 70s and my mother in the 80s. So I thought, wow, isn't that nice to have your parents reborn again at the right age, at the right time? So if I hadn't married Richard, I would have moved in maybe with the parents.
As far as Finnish music, my father used to play it around the house a lot, because he was a farmer, and then for relaxation in the evening, he'd go on the porch and play his accordion, and or in the kitchen in the wintertime. So I grew up hearing it all the time, so it was just like background for me. I just took it for granted. So I didn't really get interested in playing Finnish music until I was an adult, and I went to work in Alaska, and I was walking by a music store in Anchorage, and I saw an accordion in the window. So I bought the accordion, and I took it home, and I started trying to play some of those tunes that I remembered from home that Dad would play. And it was nice, because being so far away from home, those tunes reminded me of home. And then I was only up there for a year, and then when I got back home, I went to visit my parents, and I brought the accordion down there and played some of those tunes for Dad, and he was pretty surprised that I could play them. So he got out his accordion, and we started playing together. Then it was one tune, then it was another tune, then it was a week, then it was a month, then it was a year, and we ended up playing for the rest of his life for years, like 40 years or so. He passed away a couple of years ago, I guess. And we played right up to the end, and he was always thinking of new tunes. I just kept on learning from my father and playing with him, and that's how the music developed with me. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Jason Koski. I'm from Trumansburg, New York. I have been in Finland one time in 2001 for the Rakula, the folk festival in Rakula. So it was 2001. My father and I went to perform. We do a lot of the tunes that we play are songs that my father has written, and also some older Finnish tunes. So some of them go way back, but then some of them are fairly new also.
What do you think about Finnish music?
It's really interesting because compared to the way the American music is, for that same sort of thing, 1, 2, 3 chord tunes. They change, the chord changes at very strange times to my ear, and that was what took a long time to learn in playing Finnish music. But it's also what makes it really interesting, because you can hear a tune and you think, oh, that's no problem, and then you try to play it, and then you fall off the horse, basically, halfway through, because it just changes in a different way, and it's sort of, so after playing with Toivo for quite a while, we all sort of learned to expect to be wrong in places, and then learned how to, get it right.
My background is in old-time music and bluegrass music, but I have much more fun playing with Finnish music. And we play the Tex-Mex stuff and some other European types of music, but it's all dance music, you know, as was most of the old time music that he played. But I just like it. It's just different, and you know, I played the other stuff for many years, and it's nice to be playing something different.
I've never been in Finland. My first awareness of Finland was when I was 4 years old or 5 years old. I had a boyfriend, my first boyfriend, and he was Finnish, and his name was Toddy Elfing. And his parents went back to Finland, and he gave me his Finnish sled, his wooden sled that he had brought from Finland, and that was a great treasure for me.
I want to actually go to see the midnight sun in Finland. At some point in my life, I want to be in that northern latitude at this time of year and when it doesn't get dark.
And how was your first visit to Finland? Was it something that you...
It was great. It was great. The first time I went to Finland was in '79, and I was playing fiddle at the time, and I brought my fiddle with me, and I was just gonna go out there and, I don't know, just see what it was like. I was pretty free at that time, and so I went to this music festival at Ithaca, and I had my fiddle there, and this guy, he was kind of a part of the festival, and he asked me to play the fiddle, so I got up and played the fiddle, and I played all these old Finnish tunes, and I said my grandfather was from Ilmajoki, Finland, and his name was John Koski. Well, I got done playing at that festival, and this guy came up to me, and he said, you know, that guy, that John Koski from Ilmajoki, was my grandfather, too. And so we found out we were related, and he took me home to Ilmajoki and introduced me to his family, and I found out I was related to all his family. I had his second cousins there, and went through all the relatives, and I had so many relatives there, second cousins, and we went all around and met them all. So that was the introduction to my family in Finland.